your track. 200 stages are separated.
आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम पूरी तरह से सेफली और सॉफ्टली चंद्रमा की सतह है। ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है।
Mr. Somanath is the chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization and the person who spearheaded the team for Chandrayaan 3. In ISRO, if things go wrong, the blame goes to the chairperson. If things go right, it is the team which benefits. And under Chairman Somanath's leadership, we have seen teams flourishing and teams being showcased. And for our viewers, Somanath, his name means Lord of the Moon. And even Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his phone call to him on that very fateful day, referred to that. Let's broaden the scope of the discussion we have from just Chandrayaan to look at the future. And Mr. Somanath, and I have repeatedly said Lord of the Moon, in that context, you have also said you are an explorer. So from the perspective of an individual, and I'm not talking to you now as a chair, to respond as chairman of ISRO, is there a need for India and Indians to go and make a village or habitat the moon and Mars?
There is no doubt about that goal, that if it is humanity is going to travel beyond Earth, habitat creation on Moon, Mars and exoplanets, Indians must be there. I think I have no second thought about it. It's possibly we are thinking ourselves so inferior today that we are not technologically advanced, financially very powerful nation, and we always think that we are poor, we can't invest on all of this. This type of mindsets are still running in us. I believe that this has to go. And for a nation which think that they are the one who are creators of knowledge, creators of the technology, they only have the ability to dream bigger. I think we have to start dreaming bigger. There is no escape from that. See, for every nation, like even the nation like USA, USSR, they became big only because they started dreaming about becoming a world power. The question of the world power is very, very important. What type of power that you want to wield? I think India has been giving out the message that we would definitely want to be the world power, but not the power that always you talk about, like the military power, the strength to capture others. By giving leadership to this world in terms of the technology, in terms of good living, happy place to live, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, I think these messages have been giving out very, very widely. I believe India should become a technology leader in the future. When you are a technology leader, you are naturally somebody who have no second thought about possibilities, like going to Moon and Mars, creating colonies, going to exosolar planets, creating human habitats outside the solar system, must be one of the targets at least today for us.
So you think India should be doing that?
There is no doubt about it.
As Mr. Somanath and not Chairman Somanath, you think it's a worthwhile goal for us in future? You and I may or may not be around to see some of that.
See, that's not important for anybody. Histories are created by people who think that beyond their lifetime. They think about 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, and people are written about it, they thought about it, and their thoughts and their vision is what is making us today. I think we are standing on the shoulders of the people who imagine things, and it is our responsibility to do our part of the job today. We may vanish in another few years from now, but for it's our next generation of people which will be defined by the boundary of our nation, who will do fantastic things in the future.
Now, towards that, you have a program which is called Gyaan, which is to send an Indian astronaut into space from Indian soil on an Indian rocket on the launch vehicle Mark III, which is really considered your baby in a way because you crafted a lot of it. How is Gyaan shaping up?
Gaganyaan is going very strong, very well now, though Gaganyaan have faced its own challenges in the early part. Of course, we gave a very highly optimistic schedule of building the Gyaan mission in 4 years. Of course, we know it is not an easy task. But I have taken over after that. I have redefined the goals because we don't want time loss like what happened in Chandrayaan 2. From 2 to 3 took almost 4 years to recover. So any failure or any issues in any missions of this nature takes a huge amount of time to recover. It's better to do it the very first time successfully than to lose our face and do it again. So we redefined the whole thing in terms of the technology readiness of all of this, and we understand that it is going to take time, and nothing to be ashamed about taking it time because it has its own challenges. One of them is that we were originally thinking that we have to procure certain technology from outside for many of those critical systems, and many of them are not forthcoming. We know that today. Even if it is offered at very high cost and long periods of time. Both are not acceptable to us. Many of the design definitions, etc., had to be redone for us to make this designs our own. For example, environmental control and life support system is actually freshly designed. As far as the rocket is concerned, it has fully gone to the human rating work. I think I am very happy about that part, and we have already inducted the LVM-3 into commercial missions with all those changes, and we are going to fly continuously so as to give more reliability to the vehicle. But the crew module, which is again a huge challenge. We found that its mass is increasing, it has to be redesigned to contain the masses. We also looked at how to design complex electronics with high levels of redundancy. That is also taking its own time. We also have to develop the crew escape system, which requires large number of tests to prove, as we did for Chandrayaan 2, it is hundreds of tests. There is no escape from doing hundreds of tests. Every day there are at least 2-3 tests happening on Gyaan. Possibly all of them are not being announced in terms of devices, in terms of systems, subsystems, vibration testing. We are getting ready for a test of the test vehicle D1, possibly by next month itself. So that itself is a huge work, almost equal to the full scale Gyaan work. Only the rocket part is a different rocket. Now that has to be repeated once again. We have to repeat with the unmanned mission. Then unmanned missions have to be repeated at least 1 or 2 times more until we reach the human space flight mission. So the work is progressing very well, and there are resource crunches. Resource crunch is not because of that there is a money crunch. The engineering resource crunch is there in India. For example, if the crew module manufacturing cannot be done in India. We tried our best to create the facility here. It is not getting created. We have to depend on foreign sources, but we are trying to do it in HAL. We also find machining and manufacturing capability limitations. We are not getting it at the rate as much as we want from Indian industries. But we can't enhance that production rate because we need huge investment, which we are unable to do today. Now, there are many challenges of that nature.
Within Gyaan, there is a new specific goal which Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Joe Biden, when they met twice in both the joint statements, that an joint mission will be there by India and USA to send an astronaut to the International Space Station.
Yes.
How is work progressing on that? Because that may happen before Gyaan comes in.
The goal of that mission is to send an astronaut to International Space Station using the American available vehicle, so that one of our astronauts who will go in Gyaan will get trained. So we will use it as an opportunity to gain more insight into the Gyaan program. And definitely we have gained a lot of insight by participating in the Russian training program. Our astronauts have participated in the Star City. They underwent training there, and they are trained in the Russian way of being an astronaut. But being cosmonaut. But we call, okay. But some of them, if get trained in the American way of doing it, I think that will be an additional input to us to design the Gyaan better manner.
So can you do it in 2024 as both the leaders want it to be done?
Yes, it can be done. But then any astronaut which is identified for it, maybe 1 or 2 of them, has to undergo training program, because going to an International Space Station requires long periods of training, adaptation, and also learning the culture of working with the teams there. So that will happen now. And in US now everything is commercial. It is not the governmental program. So we have to enter into contracts which will cost you money. So that negotiation and discussion is currently progressing. And once you have the reasonable good understanding of the amount of training required, it's not only for astronauts that we need to train
the whole team.
That who will prepare the astronauts, the medical team, the ground team, the flight directors, and all of them need to be trained so as to make that mission possible. So we have already identified the people. We are in the continuously every week we have meetings with them online to see how we can crystallize the whole program, and within short time I am hoping that we will sign the implementation arrangements to get into the actual.
So 2024 we'll do
Yeah,
that?
we will do that.
Now, you said you are an explorer. Now, after Chandrayaan 3's successful landing, how did you and your team celebrate that historic success?
See, we do not celebrate this manner. The classical way of celebration, I do not know how we celebrate. Our celebrations are congratulating each other and also telling them that you have more work on the way. See, that is the way we celebrate. So if you see that Chandrayaan 3 is not going to be the end of your program, there is going to be more of Chandrayaans and more of Mangalayans. If you tell our team, I think they are overjoyed. I think this is what is expected of this. And the next moment, each of them are preparing themselves to think about what I can do further beyond the Chandrayaan 3. This becomes an important issue for them. So I understand that they are enthused by the possibility of doing greater things. Like when we were young people, we were all enthused to find new tasks. When my boss assigned me new jobs, do this also, we were actually overjoyed really, because it is an opportunity to do something in the rocket at that time. Same thing I am seeing with the youngsters here. We give them a very complex problem, very complex challenge. I think they are really fired up to do many more things, and this is the way we celebrate, by giving them complex tasks, something which they think impossible. Once you give them, that satisfies their spirit of as a scientist engineer.
How do you balance inner exploration, which is spirituality, and the scientific and technological achievement which you have? There is no doubt the world and India celebrated the success of the soft landing of Vikram. How do you combine that?
See, it is it's a long journey. Though I was not of this type of person long back, you evolve over a period of time. When I joined, I had my own limitations, both in terms of technical capability, in terms of my own personal capacity. You worked on it over a period of time in various ways. It includes my mental growth, my physical growth, my subject knowledge growth. It all happened due to various reasons, and various people that came in our path gave a lot of insight into it. It came out of that. And as far as my professional knowledge is concerned, I must tell you, it's because of the opportunities that I got of working with various people. I really learned new tasks, worked in domains which I never ever imagined that I will be able to understand itself. I think I had opportunity to even take decisions on domains.
But what about the inner exploration?
Inner is also like that. Inner is also like that. When you go through tormenting days, I think don't think that everything was so nice for me in my life. I also faced huge challenges in my personal life, in my official life of various nature. Even official life, that you can be, your position in the organization can itself be threatened, you can be thrown out.
Yes.
Yeah, so you are not even treated with great respect. You think that you are not the person suitable for the day. I hear all these criticisms, but you have to overcome all of this. And overcoming all of this requires certain state of mind. When you go through this, you try to look at what are the ways by which you can raise yourself above all of these silly things. And once you are reached there, you can look at people and with a smile. Their silly acts can really be ignored. You will learn how to do that, and through that process, you will develop your own self-confidence, and once you are very confident, you are not worried about any of those silly people. Okay.
You're also not worried about failure because you've done your best.
No, not now. So many years back, I have been a project director. I had a great threat of launching the GSLV Mark 3X mission with every possibility of a failure. Somebody has to take a decision to launch on that day. I took that decision. I think I have been threatened that it will be a colossal failure. But there was nobody else to support. I had to take the decision, and I did it, and it was a successful thing. And many things happen in life like that. In the LVM-3, the first cryogenic engine launch, the Chandrayaan 2 mission, where we had a problem at the launch pad where it leaked. There were hundreds of events of this nature where we were asked to take decisions, to do things, and only your inner voice helps you to take decisions at that time, to show confidence to people. And I believe always that knowledge is all there inside. That's what I always think that I know everything, this is what I remember. No, I learned from this. Only thing is you keep your eyes closed, look at it dispassionately, things will become clear to you. It will become shown to you that it is like this.
So the 20 minutes of terror, you closed your eyes because
course I closed
anyways you could not have done very much.
Yeah, I closed my eyes because there is nothing more I need to do. But it is a capability of the human mind to visualize things. And I believe I have an ability to visualize the possibilities, and that has helped me in a great way.
Any message for youngsters?
They are the only future for us. I think always I connect with the youngsters, though I connect with my seniors and peers in a manner. I also have another layer of connection with the youngsters in most of the centers which I worked. Many of them are personally in connect with me, and I get their feedbacks, I get their opinions through WhatsApp, through messages or phone calls. I continuously link with them, but not everybody, because I pick up at least 5-10 people of certain area, and I personally connect a link with them to make sure that the impression that is created by the organization, that different layers of the organization need to be understood. And they gave me the feedback. There are different channels of communication in the organization. There is a communication through my directors, there is a communication through my management structure, there is a communication through my my young people, there is a communication through union people and technicians and other class. So you need to assimilate all this communication information and then understand the organization. And this is very crucial for any leadership to understand the psychology of things happening there.
And you are a team player.
I have to be, because I realize that I am, as a person alone, I am such a weak person. But when you have so many people along with you, you are so strong. You can move things much better than anybody else can.
So excited about the future of space in India, and will India become a developed country and space technology play a role?
India will become a developed country, but whether you have a space technology or not, I have no doubt about it. Space technology today is an example by which is a technology domain we thought that it is going to be very complex, it is something not reachable for people like India, has been shown that the other way. And this is an example that it can be replicated in many other domains. And this is what we must do. See, scientific and technological findings of the primary nature is still not happening in India. You can see that the fundamental discoveries, the primary science findings, or the industrial new innovations that feed to the business are not happening in a scale which is sufficient in India today. Many of the industries are not depending on R&D of the corresponding domain to feed into the industries. I believe what need to happen tomorrow is that our big industries will sponsor R&D in a big manner. Something like 20% of their revenue should go into R&D, and that R&D will feed into the industrial growth. New equipments, new approaches, it can be in any domain. It can be in electronics, consumer electronics, the medical diagnostic tools, computers, chips, algorithms, software tools, anything it should be adding value. Look at example. Many of the simulation tools, software tools that you have today that is purchased from outside, there is rarely anything coming from India. It's mostly coming from US and Europe. Why is our software talent is so great here, but still world-class software tools are not made in India? It is something you should worry about. Unless we are the primary source of some of the knowledge of the world, we are not going to be a technologically powerful nation. I think it can happen not from government, it will happen only from private entrepreneurs, where they sponsor research. And I am very strong believer of this, that unless big players in industry invest in R&D and bank on the R&D for your commercial outcome, then only this country will change.
So is this preparing for the second innings for Somanath?
I do not know. I am already a retired person.
Anyways, always a pleasure speaking to you and learning from you the nitty-gritties and the happiness and joy which you bring to any complex mission and make it look so simple is really what India has loved that moment. And thanks a lot, and we will continue the discussions, and I wish both you, ISRO and Team India full success for a developed nation to be made. And I can't wait for 2047. I want a developed India faster than 2047. I'm more impatient than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So that was Chairman S Somanath of the Indian Space Research Organization speaking to us in the clean room of the U.R. Rao Satellite Center in Bangalore, explaining to us the complexities of Chandrayaan-3 and the future of space in India. India went from a moonwalk to a sun dance with the Aditya mission, which is still ongoing, and there are many more beautiful missions to come. From the Shiva Shakti point on the lunar surface to the Nataraja statue at Bharat Mandapam, there is a deep connect of India, its technology and its heritage. India will succeed when we believe in ourselves, and that image of the lander on the lunar surface is the image of a Naya Bharat. With camera person Kumar inside the UR Rao Satellite Center, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.